All right. Uh, of course, here it is. I'm starting the stream, and there's a whole gaggle of girls right outside my window talking, or my door talking. Give me 1 second.
Actually, I thought they were at your apartment too.
Sorry, don't mean to be rude, but
Yeah, right.
okay, here we go. Oh yeah. And Brian's coming in. Okay, awesome.
I'm going to some free time.
All right, welcome once again to another edition of Learn Photography with Duck. As always, I am your host, the very tired Duck. It's been a long day today. Okay, and we are on episode 15. So, just let's see, just a quick reminder. Come on, where's my switcher? There it is. We got the beginner's photo walk coming up at Milford Photo on the 6th. Again, you know, if anybody has any friends or relatives that are new to photography or looking to figure out the how to use their cameras the right way, send them to Milford Photo. Enough of that. Hey, Mark's here. Awesome. Okay. All right. So today I assisted a friend of mine doing some architectural photography, and I knew that it was going to be a fairly long day. So I figure, all right, what am I going to do tonight when comes time for tonight's lessons? And so I pre-planned, and I actually took my camera home for the weekend, and I did a little photography around the house, trying to see if I can finagle anything with my 100 millimeter macro lens. It was tougher than I thought. You know, there's nothing more humbling than trying to do photography in a genre or in a manner that you're not used to. Okay. Alan experienced this with me when he took me out to photograph some eagles. I was grossly outmanned on that one. But I learned a lot from Alan, just during the conversations and observing how he shoots and all that good stuff. So I knew going into trying some little macro photography that I would just be grossly outgunned. But I'll share what I did, and I'll share my experience and my thoughts, and hopefully it'll kind of encourage you to get out, you know, when the weather's nice and, you know, the wind isn't like roaring at 40 miles an hour across the yard. That was the other thing I had to deal with. But anyway, that's what we're going to discuss today, and we'll see if there's anything worth keeping. All right. So, to be fair, I left the job at 5:30. I got here at about 6:15. All right. To prepare for this. So I only had enough time to download the images. As a matter of fact, the card is like my card's still in the card reader here. So I have not looked at these images. You and I will be looking at these images all at the same time. So do me a favor. If you're going to laugh, just make sure you mute the microphones, okay? I'll probably be laughing harder than you guys anyway. So anyway, before we start, anybody got any news that they want to share? Bill, I always
But Duff, you were asking about, this is up here for photo shoots, and we discussed Rockwell. And I talked to a couple of people up here. Um, Page Park, I don't know where that is, but that's a name. Barnes Nature Center, which is near Sessions Woods.
mm-hmm.
They have a hawk, and I've taken a picture of a couple things they have in cages there. Roaring Brook Nature Center, I believe that's in like Simsbury area. Roaring Brook Nature Center, not to be confused with Roaring Brook Falls in Cheshire.
Okay.
And of course, I think we've discussed this here, the Flower Bridge in Simsbury. It's called the Old Drake Flower Bridge. Um,
Oh, I think I've heard. I think I've heard of that.
yeah, it was closed for a year, a little more than a year, because they
They,
refurbished it.
yeah.
But spring and summer, spring and early summer, there are nice flowers there.
And that's in Simsbury, you said?
That is in Simsbury. And if we're ever going to there, the Simsbury Camera Club always has an exhibit at the library. They'll take one of their members and say, okay, you can display your photos this month in the lobby.
Oh, nice.
And you can sell them. And, there are a lot of good camera groups in Connecticut, including North Haven. These people beat everybody.
Really?
If you want to look at some good stuff, go to SimsburyCameraClub.com.
Okay. Cool.
The best I've seen in camera clubs online are Simsbury and Boston Camera Club.
Well, I'm not riding out to Boston.
No. Just if you want to look at it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, speaking, I don't know if I should say this now that we're live, but what the hell. Things have changed on the home front. Diane and I are actually postponing our move for about a year. Nothing major, just some minor hiccups. So good for me, you know. But so I'll be around in this area for another year. But
You'd be coming up here.
I know. We were planning. But anyway. Okay. So like I said, I made plans for this weekend that I wanted to try out doing some macro photography with my camera. And what did I do with? I had, of course, now that what the heck? Oh, here it is. Blend it in. All right, so this is the setup that I went with. It's a little clunky, but I don't do a lot of macro photography to really invest in anything like super nice, I guess you can say. All right, let me just go ahead and share projector.
While you're on that subject, what's an okay lens? When you start getting into the super nice stuff, for someone who wants to play around with it, what's
well, to
entry or
hold that thought for 1 second. So I have two macro lenses. the 100, these are Canon, but I'm sure, no, I'm not sure. I know that Nikon and Sony and Olympus, they all have their versions of this lens as well. So what I have is the 100 millimeter lens with macro capabilities. And I also have a 50 millimeter with macro capabilities, not the nifty 50, but just a 50 millimeter. Um, and the thing with macro that a lot of people kind of get a little bit confused about, what makes a lens a macro lens. It's not necessarily the magnification of the lens, because I don't know, lens manufacturers are a little strange. They give names to things that just sometimes doesn't make sense, and macro is one of them. Okay, the term macro, if we want to get technical, refers to the size relationship of the original subject in relation to the size relationship on the image sensor. So if to just keep things super simple, let's say you have a 1-inch sensor and you photograph a 1-inch item. Okay, now I can photograph a 1-inch item and take a picture of it, but where it becomes macro is when you are able to fit 1-inch subject on that 1-inch sensor on a 1-to-1 basis. That's macro. Or anything that kind of like not zooms in but enlarges it. So if you photograph something that's 1-inch and you photograph it with a 1-inch sensor and you're only seeing half of it, so it's 2-to-1, that's a true macro. Okay, a lot of times what people do is they'll take like, for example, I'll show you with the pictures of the bees. There was a couple bees outside the house in a flowering bush that I was trying to capture. The bee itself is what? Maybe about an inch, right? Okay. I did not fill my entire screen with that bee. So it's not a true macro. What it is, though, is a close-up of the bee. Okay. So, but even though that's technically what it is, a lot of people just throw out this, yeah, I'm taking macro shots of this bee. Okay. A true macro shot is when you like zoom in and you fill the frame with their face. Okay.
I think that's close up. That's what I want. I guess I want to take a nice close up picture of a bee so that
Right.
I saw the bee before you mentioned it. I want to be able to get, a nice full close up of a bee.
Yeah. And to tell you honestly, this lens will do it. Okay. Now,
Hey, that's what to follow up on what Brian said. I get mixed up on when should you use a macro,
okay.
when should you use a long lens.
Aha.
It seems to me there's no difference if I use my 100 millimeter macro or if I take a long lens and shoot it at the flower at zoom into 100 maybe 120 millimeter.
Yep. There is.
When you're allergic to a bee, you don't want.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. All right. Let me. I tell you what. I'm gonna launch Photoshop. I think I can do this better if I can draw pictures for you guys. All right, so file, new. Let's get a new document here. Oh, come on. There we go. Why is my Photoshop? There we go. Print, letter, create. There we go. And switch over to the desktop. All right. We don't need that. Everybody see that? Okay, good. Let me make it just a touch more. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. That's better. Okay. All right. Okay, so we have our camera with our 100 millimeter lens. Okay. And then we have a certain amount of distance. Okay. And we don't know what that distance is just yet. But somewhere within that distance, we're going to place our subject. Okay. Now, all lenses have what's called a minimum focal distance. Okay. A minimal focal distance. That's the minimum distance that you can have your subject close up onto the front of your lens before the lens cannot focus on it. Okay. So for example, let me pull, I got this old Tamron. Okay. Oh, this one's a macro. I'll be darned. Okay. And it says 0.8 feet. 0.8 feet. All right. So what's 0.8 feet? Okay. That's about, what is it, 9 inches? Okay. So the minimum focusing distance on that lens is about 9 inches. Okay. This one here, what's this one say? Might say it in the front. Nope, doesn't say it on the front. Oh, it's right here on the lens. And feet 0.95, so almost a foot. Almost a foot. Okay. Now, Bill, you mentioned, using a longer lens. All right, so I got the 100 millimeter lens here, but I also have my 7200. Okay. And then I also have my 150 to 400. Okay. Now I know that my 150 to 400, the minimal focal distance is 18 inches. Okay. So that means if I'm using my lens at the 400 millimeter length, okay, I have to have my subject out no closer than 18 inches. So if I have a flower, okay, with a bee buzzing around, okay, I have to be at least 18 inches away. All right. Now, because it's a 400 millimeter lens, it won't be a macro, all right, but it may be close enough. It may provide a close enough shot that I can probably get something worth, you know, worth working with. Okay. But that's a regular lens. That's not macro. All right. So this is at the regular distance. Okay. A macro lens allows you to focus a lot closer. Okay. So I don't know exactly how these lenses are manufactured. All right. But there's what I've noticed is most macro lenses, they have a dead spot. Okay. So they'll have the minimum focal distance. Okay. So let's say, well, this 100 millimeter lens, this one here is, what is it? Minimum is what? About a foot. All right. So the minimum I can get is about a foot. Okay. So 12 inches. All right. I can put the B at that 12 inch, right? Then there's a dead man zone that the lens just cannot focus on. All right. But because it's a macro, there is another minimum distance right here that I'm able to focus on. All right. So I can get, a foot away, I can focus. Then it goes into an area where I can't focus. And then if I put something here, like right now, I can see my fingerprints. All right. And I should probably take a picture, but I'm seeing literally just this first knuckle. I'm filling the frame with just this first knuckle. And I am at about, what would you guesstimate this at? About 4 inches, right? About 4 inches. Okay. So at 4 inches, I can focus. All right. And this is the macro capabilities. All right. So all that means is that there is this narrower space, all right, narrower space, uh, or the smaller distance that the lens can now focus on. Okay. With my 50 millimeter lens, that distance is like half of this. With my 50 millimeter lens, I can probably get like 2 inches from the subject. Okay. So that's the difference between a regular lens, all right, regular lens focusing out here, and a macro lens being able to focus in here. Okay. Everybody follow that? Well,
Yes.
all right. Does
Yeah.
that answer your question, Bill?
It does. Thank you.
Okay. Here's where it gets a little bit tricky. All right. So if you understand how depth of field works, okay, or your depth of focus. All right. Here, let me get a red color here. All right. Your depth of focus at 18 inches. Actually, I should probably pull up my depth of field calculator. Let's look that up. Okay. How many of you have a depth of field calculator on your phones?
No,
No need for it yet.
No need for it.
Well, right now, no.
didn't know
Okay.
you could get those.
Yep. Okay. So Canon EOS 5D Mark II. At 100. Where's my 100 millimeter? Okay. We'll do F11. All right, we'll do F11. Okay. And my subject distance, okay, the subject distance will go with my minimum before it goes into the macro. The minimum, like we said, was about a foot, 12 inches. It's actually 12.2, but we'll just call it 1.2 feet. We'll just call it 12 inches. All right. 0, 12 inches. Okay. All right. So the depth of field is 5/32 of an inch. Okay. Uh, where it's really, really, really sharp and in focus. Okay. But there is a fading off behind and behind the focal plane and in front of the focal plane, and it gives you these values as well. All right, so depth of field near limit is about 11 inches, and the far limit is about a foot. Okay, where uh, so you got about almost 2 feet of working space. Now you got to understand that it's not going to be sharp along that whole 2 feet. It's going to be the sharpest at the focal plane, okay, which is at 12 inches. From there, the sharpness gets gradually less and less and less and less and less as it goes out in both directions. Okay? So we have an effective focal depth of about actually it's about 22 inches. Okay? At F11. All right. I won't hold my breath at being that deep. I don't think. Like I said, um, yeah, the near limit is 11. The far limit is a foot. Okay. Depth of field in front, 3/32, and the depth of field behind is 3/32. So it's fairly even. So about 5/32 for a true depth of field. So it's thin. Okay. Now if we were to change that, all right. So now we go to the macro side. All right, and at the macro, I can go in as close as 4 inches. Okay, 4 inches. Okay, My depth of field, it's actually saying 0. My depth of field is 0. It's so thin that it's not even registering. It's not even registering. Okay. So in essence, you're going to get a little sliver where everything is sharp, and then it's going to really just degrade. All right. And that's where you would revert to something like focus stacking. Okay, where you take multiple shots at, where the focal plane shifts, either, starting from the front and you shift towards the back, or you start from the back and you start shifting towards the front. And then once you have enough images where you've captured enough of the subject in sharp focus, software puts it together for you and gives you the finished product where everything is nice and sharp. Okay?
Not with a live beat.
Not with a live bee. Thank you. That was going to be my next comment. Okay?
That bee's got to be pinned down, and you're on a tripod and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Not alive. And then you could use focus stacking, or you'd be satisfied with just getting the head. And
right.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, because the depth of field here is literally 0. Okay. All right. So what I did, and to be honest, I went out just to experiment. All right. And we've discussed this in the past, where if you really want to understand how something works, you got to play with it. You got to, get your hands dirty, as they say. Grab your camera, burn through frames. It's not like film anymore where you're paying for every frame. Digital is free. Okay. The only thing that it costs you is time. All right. So I went out and I went out on 2 separate occasions. The first time I went out, there were no insects because those of you here in Connecticut know we've had some really, really strong winds. And where my house is, there's this north to south wind that just rips through the neighborhood. And if any bee wanted to do any kind of pollinating, they'll be carried down the street on the wind. So there were no insects out the first day. But the second day, there were 2 bees buzzing around, and I was pretty happy. So 2 separate occasions. All right. And like I said, I hadn't done anything like this in years. So I'm very, very rusty. I haven't used this lens in like forever, so it was time to get reacquainted with it. All right. And as you can see, the depth of focus here is very, very shallow. So I'm shooting at 5.6 at ISO 400 on this particular shot. There were some pretty nice flowers. Okay, that was my first shot. Okay, and to be honest, I wasn't shooting to capture anything. I just put the flash on. I turned it on. And my first couple of shots is just playing around with the flash power. Okay. That one didn't even fire at all. That one, I don't know. I was putzing around. It's all blurry. It's all shit, shot to shit. All right. And then here we go. Now we're getting into some stuff. I bumped up. Let's see. I don't know if you can see this, but I bumped my aperture up to f/29, which I think, let's see. Oh, it's not the f/32 is the highest. So I was up at f/29. All right. Now, it's not the most preferred, all right, because when you start getting to extreme ends of your aperture opening, you start introducing things like chromatic aberrations, and all kinds of craziness starts ensuing. But I figure I'm experimenting. Let me see what I can do. Okay. So at f/29, let's see what the calculator says. All right. I was I'm going to go back to 12 inches because I know I wasn't doing anything with, close up. All right. Uh, and also, let's see, f/29. Okay. Uh, almost a half inch. Almost a half inch. Okay. Of a true sharp focus. Okay. And so if we look at this, all right, this is a close up of an iris. Okay. You can see that from, I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see this, from about here to about just where this is going in. That's relatively sharp focus. Okay. The front of this petal, we're starting to lose it. Okay. We're starting to lose a little bit of focus. And this second petal on the left and right, that's definitely starting to lose focus. Okay. Now, here's the thing. Okay. It's not going to look blurry of what we would call a blurry picture. All right. There's still enough sharpness there that from a distance, we may not notice it. Okay. But if we pixel peep, all right, if we pixel peep, and we go here, all right, you can see that it's starting to get a little soft. It's a little soft. Okay. And of course, when we start getting a little bit further away, that's a lot softer. Now, this flower, the whole flower is maybe front to back 4 inches. Okay. It's not a big flower. Okay. So that half-inch depth of field is pretty much right on. Maybe a little bit more. Okay. All right. But now we have to take into consideration, okay, what are we going to do to this in post-processing? All right. We can sharpen things in post-processing. So where those areas that start getting a little soft, we can bring back and create some sharpness. Okay. And of course, now we have AI that is able to really, really do wonders with like really blurry images. Okay. Of course, we get into the question of, how much of it is being altered by the AI, but that's a discussion for another time. All right. But I was pretty impressed with these shots that I got. Okay. Now, I'm going to complicate things for you guys for a little bit because I didn't go out just with my 100mm lens. I went out with my 100mm lens and a close-up adapter. All right. Here, let me switch. I bought this like eons ago, and this little thing is like, it was pricey, but it's literally a magnifying glass. See, look how it changes the just on my hands holding it up here. Okay. How much magnification that gives me. Okay. This is a close-up lens adapter. All right. This was made by Canon. This is the 500D. And it just, like any filter, it just goes on right on the front and allows you to get in even closer. All right. So now it effectively took my 12-inch minimum distance and shortened it. So I can now get into about 6 inches. Okay. All right. So if you don't have a macro lens, there are options. You can get something like this that will convert your normal lens into kind of sort of a macro lens. Okay. All right. I never tried this on a regular lens, so don't hold me to it. But I know that I can get some decent magnification with that puppy. Okay. All right. So I took some shots. I was kind of a little bit bummed that here's the full flower. I was a little bummed that I couldn't find any bugs flying around the flowers. Okay. Here I backed off a little bit more. I'm still shooting at f/29, and you can see I kind of filled the frame with the flower. Okay. At this point, I'm still kind of focused more on the flash than I am on the flower itself. Okay, and I'll tell you why. Okay. So let me see if I can move out of the way here. I'll move out of the way here so you can see the camera. All right. This is my camera that I take to events. All right. When I go to events, there's usually a dome diffuser here, and this is typically pointed up in this direction. Okay. But because I knew I was going to be looking to shoot macro, I also understood that in order to get the maximum amount of depth of focus in front of my lens, I would need to be at a very, 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 very small opening. All right. Like I explained, f/29, this one can go to f/32. I knew I would be shooting within that range. And what happens when you close up your iris that small? You rob yourself of a lot of light. That's why I brought the flash with me in the middle of the day. Broad daylight, sun blaring, okay? I brought the flash with me because I knew I would need to introduce my own light into this in order to be able to capture anything. All right. Not, well, let me take that back. Sure. If I bring my shutter speed down slow enough to compensate, I could have shot it. But I would not have been able to handhold it because the shutter speed would have been too slow. So I knew that because I was shooting closed, I would also need to compensate in order to increase my shutter speed. All right. So my shutter speed maxes out at 1/200th of a second. on this particular camera when I have the flash attached. So not a big deal. I pushed my ISO up. All right, let's see what that ISO was. ISO 400. Okay, ISO 400. Okay. Now, if you look at the background, you can see how dark that background is. And this was, in the middle of the day. What time was this? Captured 5 o'clock. 10 after 5. All right, on Saturday. Okay, 10 after 5. The sun was still blaring out there. Okay, and so you can see that I cut out a lot of the light in the background. Okay, notice how dark that is. All this light that's illuminating the flower, this is all from my flash. Okay, that's all flash. All right, now flash by itself is very hard. Okay, so I also understood that. Here, let me switch here. All right, I also understood that if I'm shooting something that is here in front of my lens, okay, that flash, I can't angle it to hit, 6 to 12 inches in front. All right. This will be shooting the majority of the flash energy is just going to sail right over the top of whatever I'm shooting. Now, remember, I was hoping for bugs. Okay. So I needed some way of get the light from here that goes out to be able to deflect it down. And that's where this little thing came into play. All right. So I brought just a piece of white foam board. Okay. And my goal was to be able to do this. Take this, put this right above here, kind of angled down. All right. And then all the light that would hit this would then just bounce down into that area directly in front of my lens. Make sense? Simple enough plan. Simple enough plan if you have 8 hands like an octopus. All right. Like a
This why a lot of professionals have an assistant.
yes, or that special uh, a lot of I know they sell. There's a couple of commercially available hoods that go that clip on, and literally it's just like this hood that comes down and creates like a tent in the front of your camera, and it gives you that Goldilocks zone where all the light is just being focused to, but they're
How about I've got a couple. I have collected diffuser. What do you call them? You would call that a diffuser, like Gary, whatever his name is. How about
the Gary Fong,
yeah?
yeah.
How about there's one that you can bend? Can you bend it to go down?
Oh, yeah. The
Hold, one second.
I know which one you're talking about. I know which one you're talking about. Yeah, I can't for the life of me think of it. All right.
Can I share for 10 seconds?
Sure.
Can I share?
Let me
let's see.
stop.
The camera will work here. Hold on a second. How do I share now? Here we are. Share. and share the screen. And you know, oh, you can't see my camera, can you? No. Oh, wait a minute. Hold this a second. No, I don't want to share that. Give me a second. Let me unshare. You turn on my camera. I'm talking about this thing here.
Uh, the
Yeah,
flash
look at
bender.
that.
Flash bender.
Flash bender, yes.
Flash bender. Yes, 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 yes.
Yes.
Uh,
Or if I were to take my, I have a bigger one too. This thing. See this duck?
yeah,
User. Maybe if I were to bend that,
yep.
but I think the bender would work better in a case like that.
The flash bender, yeah. Yeah. But like I said, there are manufacturers that make very specific cowlings for your flash, specifically designed for macro photography of insects and stuff. Okay. And the way it works, all right. So this is the problem. Okay. We have our camera, we have our lens, our macro lens. Okay. And because we're looking to do macro, all right, we know we're going to place our subject in a very small, razor thin depth of field spot somewhere in here. Okay. Bzz, 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 bzz. All right. And now we have this big honking flash right above here. Okay. And the problem, like I said, is that the majority of the energy from that flash is just going to go out. Yes, we do get some that go, downwards and to the sides and to the top, away from this. But the majority of the energy, okay, let's just keep things for round numbers. 90% of your energy is going to go straight. Okay. 10% of your energy is going to get distributed around the periphery. All right. So 10%, you know, it's actually a lot less than that, is going to make its way down. So what we need is something that is going to allow us to direct that light downwards. Okay. So, like I said, what I did is I took, let me erase this. Okay. What I did is I took the piece of foam board, all right, and I was just hand holding it, all right. I wanted to experiment, so I didn't want to attach anything permanently to my flash. I also, I don't know how much that flash head can support. I didn't want to put a lot of weight on it, all right. So I'm not going to take that big, heavy, well, they're not heavy, okay. But a large enough piece hanging out over the front, putting a lot of downward weight to it, I wasn't willing to take that risk. Okay. However, I know that putting it at an angle would allow that light to hit and be directed downwards, right? Into the area where our subject's going to be. Now, the other thing that I knew this setup would allow me to do, okay, is that Let's see if I can do it. Okay. I'll do it like this so you guys can see it. All right. It would actually be like this, aim it down, but all right. So I can aim it down, but I could also turn this sideways as I needed. All right. I also knew that I could turn this, okay, sideways as I needed. Okay, so if I wanted to side light something, I could do this. All right. So hand holding it allows me to have a lot of manipulation with the flash head and the position of the card in relation to the flash and also in relation to the subject. Okay. The problem was that I'm trying to do this with two hands. One hand on the camera and one hand holding the modifier. All right. And trying to chase a bee with a heavy camera with a long lens set to macro. All right. With one hand trying to chase a bee as you're trying to look through the viewfinder is near impossible. How I got the pictures that I did get, it's beyond, I don't know. However, like I said, I haven't really taken a close look. I doubt very seriously if any of them came in focus. All right. I will be very surprised if any of them came out in focus. Okay. I was just kind of like struggling to maintain direction, trying to aim that light down in front. Okay. However, um, however, if this is something that you want to pursue, I would really, really, really suggest you get you invest in one of those special. I don't know. I don't even know what they call them. They literally attach to your flash, or you can get the kind of flash that actually attaches to the front of your lens and actually shoots light into that zone.
I
Okay.
think it's called a ring flash.
Well, yeah, a ring flash. A ring flash is a little bit more forward shooting. You can't get away, but they actually sell a flash. It's not a ring flash. It's actually it does have a ring that attaches to the front of your lens. Okay. Let's see if I can show you. It's a ring. Oops. Okay. That screws onto your lens, but it has a couple little wings. All right. And then on those wings, there is a flash unit. Okay. So it's not really a ring light. Okay. A ring light, let's see, there's our lens. Here's our ring light. Okay. The vision of the lens comes out the center, but the light from the ring comes out all around the periphery. Okay. And it just throws it straight. You can get that kind of light. Okay. But if you have a subject All right. All right. Uh, and you guys should know this. Okay. If you have a subject that is being lit from the same direction that your camera is looking at it, all right? So the camera view and the light are coming from the same direction. What happens to your subject? It's it's flat.
Subject's too hot, right?
Well, that's controlling the power. You can control that.
Yeah.
But when you have that directional light, you
It's
lose
flat lighting.
you lose
It's
that.
flat lighting.
Yeah, it's very, very flat. Very flat. So you lose a lot of that dimensionality. You lose that 3D effect. Okay. So what this light does, the macro light, the close-up light, okay, is you have your camera, all right. It does have the ring, all right, but what it does is it has these arms, okay, and then it puts these lights, okay, and so just think of it like a top view, all right, and that light now comes in at an angle to your field of view, all right, and there's your little bee, all right. So now you get more dimension, you get that three-dimensionality, okay. It's no longer flat lighting, okay. So something to consider if this is the kind of photography you want to get into, okay. But like I said, I wasn't going to invest in anything like any crazy stuff like that. I wanted to just experiment with the equipment that I had, the knowledge that I have, and see what I can pull off. All right. And you can do it. There are actually tutorials. You can download a little tutorial that allows you to use um, index stock cards, index, get a poster board, all right? Yeah, poster board, card stock, or foam board, and make that little housing that directs all that light down on top of your subject, okay? All right. And I would, of course, suggest you attach it to your camera so that you can use two hands on your camera instead of one. All right. Let's go back to this guy. All right. And then because there were no bugs, it was just like, all right, let's see what I can do compositionally with, you know, some flowers. So I did some overhead shots. And then there I found this little leaf. Okay. And I played around with a little bit of the angle. All right. So here's a good indicator. All right. If we look, all right, here is this leaf, right? And there is its shadow. And notice how the shadow is offset. All right. Leaf, shadow, offset. Okay. I'm not shooting it straight on. It's not flat lighting. All right. We notice this area here. Okay. The light is coming in from this direction. How can we tell? Because there is shadow on this side. So we have the light here and we have our shadow here. Okay. So getting your light off to one side is going to give you that dimensionality. All right. Now, I was playing around with trying to get a control of this stupid thing in one hand and my camera in the other hand, and you can see that I wasn't getting consistent results. Okay. This one here is probably the best. All right. Trying to move around, get some kind of composition, trying to place the foam board in a consistent spot. Way too many moving parts. Okay. I would not recommend it. Very frustrating. Okay. But the thing is, like I said, proof of concept. Could it be done? Yes. So I proved it to myself. All right. Experimenting with some more stuff. Wasn't happy with these. This one grossly underpowered. That one a little bit better. Okay. This one I just trying to work the angle of the head of my flash in order to illuminate it. Okay. Then I went back to this little thing. Okay, so earlier I said, go out, grab your camera, experiment. All right. There were no bugs. I was like, damn, no bugs. All right. So rather than pack it up and go back inside, I says, okay, well, let's see if I can make anything. Let's explore. Okay, let's see what we can find. All right, and here it is. I'm a F25. All right, I think I probably I bumped it. It should have been at F20 F29. Went down to F25. All right, so you can see we have softness. All right, here off to the side. The sharpest part, I'm trying to create something right here in the middle. Okay, so now that I kind of sort of have the light situation under control, it's time to start putting into effect everything else. All right, composition. All right, let's see if we can create something with a centered composition, something symmetrical. All right, let's put something in the point of focus. All right, and I kind of concentrated on that little bit of yellow. Excuse me. That little tuft of yellow against the white of the flower, and I used the purple kind of like we have these leading lines that just kind of go up. All right. So that's what I was kind of playing around with. Is it a strong composition? I don't know. I don't think so. Okay. But playing around, backed up, got a little bit further away. I was trying to get up a little bit higher, but the thing is, the higher I got, because we're actually looking more towards the center of the flower. The outsides kind of started blocking things, so I said, it's not looking good. All right, you can see here we're kind of starting to lose some form of interest. Okay, now you've heard me say before, when I edit an image, the things that I look for first is what is wrong with this image. Okay, what are the things that are wrong? All right, and then we work on fixing it. So things like crooked horizons. The exposure's a little bit too bright. The exposure's a little bit too dark. We tweak it here or there. We increase the saturation of colors, things like that. Okay. But that only works when you have a really good workable image. However, that same principle of what is wrong with this image works when you're trying to work out a composition. All right. So here it is. I had a concept in my head, a very loose one, and I'm starting to explore it with the camera. Okay. And I'm not really liking it. You know, it's one thing to have an idea in your head, and it's another one to actually see it manifest itself uh, in full living color on the back of your camera display. All right. I looked at this and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not really feeling it. Okay. Um, and then I just moved on. So I said, okay, well, let's see if I can find something else. I found this. All right. Now, this one, um, okay. Going back to event photography. All right. And I know I've had the discussion with Bill when we've discussed shooting for events. One of the things that I constantly do when I'm shooting events is, all right, my head is on a swivel. I'm constantly looking around through the crowd. I'm looking for any kind of action. Or actually, let me be a little bit more specific. I'm looking for interactions, human interactions between people, groups, or couples, or a handshake, a hug, a laugh, some kind of interaction that creates action that is worthy of photographing because it tells a story. Okay. The other thing I do is, as I'm looking around, I will go and grab what I call the safety shots. Okay, the safety shots are that first shot that may not be the best. All right, now how many of you heard of um, mental block? Um,
Had that all day.
Luc Berzon. Yeah. Uh, damn. The decisive moment. That it is. The decisive moment. Okay. The decisive moment is that pinnacle of the arc that tells the story of an action. Right. There's every action has an arc. Okay. The setup, the payoff, and then the blow off. All right. The decisive moment is that pinnacle that just captures the essence of the story in its most favorable composition. All right. So think about the guy jumping over the puddle and he's in midair as he's jumping over the puddle. All right. The woman holding the umbrella in her hand, it's being turned inside out by strong winds as the wind is also lifting up her skirt. And she's fighting the umbrella and trying to get her skirt down all at the same time. That pinnacle of that story, just in one single frame, tells the whole story. All right. Because we're working one frame at a time. We need to be able to compress a full storyline into one. Okay. However, there is a certain amount of safety that we need to build into our shots. We're not just going to run, okay, I'm just going to wait. Oh, here it comes. I'm not going to take it yet. I'm going to wait for that pinnacle and then take the photo, and then I'm going to go back to waiting. That's not realistic. All right. What the realistic part is, all right, if you're good, you're going to anticipate whatever the action is. You're going to see it coming, whether it's two people walking to each other to shake hands at a business meeting or, somebody jumping a puddle. All right. and you're going to take a couple of shots as the action is coming together. Because if you miss it, if for some reason you completely blow it, hopefully there's going to be something there, okay, that you can salvage part of that problem. All right. Why do I do this? All right. Going back to event photography, because I do a lot of that. I don't know how many times we're in a very crowded situation. I just did a restaurant ribbon cutting. We're all in this cramped situation. The head of the Chamber of Commerce, he's giving a speech. As he's speaking, he's gesturing. The audience is applauding. All right. I'm going to, I have plenty of time to take plenty of pictures. So I wasn't too particular, but I know he's going to gesture. I see he's warming up to that gesture. I bring my camera up to capture that gesture, and as I click that camera, a person walked right in front of me. I got half their face. I got their face, the side of their face, filling half my frame. All right, and from behind that half frame, I can see half of my subject gesturing. Okay, but I know I had the image before, and I also know I have the image afterwards once that person passed. Okay, those are my safety shots. I missed the pinnacle moment. I missed that decisive moment. I missed it. All right. Through no fault of my own, somebody just walked in front of my lens. But I had that safety shot. Okay. So why do I mention this? Is because when we are out taking photos for ourselves, even if it's as innocuous as flowers, this was my safety shot. Okay, this was my safety shot. I took this flower. I said, if nothing else, I have at least one pretty flower. All right. Now, this is my safety shot. Why? Because I've taken this flower shot 100 times. All right. If just recently, when we did the, I should be sharing so you guys can see this. When I did the artistic overlays, the texture overlays and things like that, I used a flower shot just like this. Okay. I know an overhead shot of a flower against a dark background is always going to look good. Okay. So this was my safety shot. Okay. Don't be afraid of the safety shots. Grab them. All right. But also play around, experiment. Okay. I got my safety shot, and then directly below that rose were these flowers here. All right. They were near the end of their bloom, so I had very slim pickings. I don't even know what kind of flower this is. All right. But I'm like, oh, that's fairly interesting. Let me see if I can make something. And of course, the first few shots, my flash just wasn't bright enough, right? So I'm trying to manipulate the card to get some kind of side lighting. You can see how the light is actually coming like from here, okay? Even though I'm shooting straight down, all right? A little bit too much light, okay? And then just going back to something a little bit more better, okay? And then just playing with my depth of focus, all right? And what can I focus on, all right? And mind you, because my depth of focus is so narrow, I wasn't using my focusing ring. I was literally rocking back and forth with my camera, small rocks, small movements, all right, in order to move that focal plane up and down. Okay. All right. I didn't see anything. I didn't feel like sitting down on wet grass, so I moved on and I found some lichen. Okay. And this was a little bit better. It was on a tree. I could rest up against it and I can play around. Okay. And this is shot at f5.6. Why? I have no idea. All right. I have no idea because I went back up to f11 on this one. I think I was just, and then f32. Okay. I saw this little thing. This is actually, I shot it sideways. The actual orientation of this was, let's see if I can rotate it that way. Okay, that's what it looked like. Okay. And of course, trying to hand hold it and manipulate the card. Trying to get I was trying to get the light to bounce more sideways than anything, and I just failed towards the end. My arms started getting tired. I'm kind of shooting up into a tree, so I gave it up. Found a little spider web. Nothing interesting there. Here's a rock. Okay. Nothing interesting with a rock, so let's put something on top of the rock. Okay. That came out pretty decent. A little too bright, a little too bright, a little too dark. There we go, a little bit better. Let's angle it. All right. Is it anything to brag about? Anything to write home? Anything to hang on your wall? Nah, absolutely not. But I was having fun. I was getting reacquainted with my macro lens, and I was able to see what the lens was capable of doing. All right. So that was my first day. All right. So you can see nothing exciting. The next day, the wind had died down, and I'm like, okay, let's go out and see if we can find some bees. All right. My wife had looked out the window at this bush, the flowering bush, and said, "Ooh, I saw some bees. You should take your camera, go outside." Yes, dear. I don't need any second promptings from you. Thank you very much. All right. I have the wife's permission to take my camera outside. Let's go for it. All right. Found a bee. All right. Found a fly. These are a little bit underexposed. Again, I'm struggling a little bit with trying to get the flash direction and power to be consistent as I am hand holding a piece of white foam board. As you can tell, wasn't the easiest. Here we go. Okay, so now there were two bees, and Alan knows this because he's photographed plenty of wildlife. What is the number one rule about wildlife when you put the camera to your eye and you're going to take their picture? They turn their butts to you. Never fails. Never fails. Okay. So most of these you're not gonna see. They're butt shots. Butt shot. Butt shot. This one that flew off. Not too bad, but a little blurry. Butt shot. Butt shot. Not too bad. a little underexposed. We'll take a look at it. Butt shot, butt shot, butt shot, butt shot. Oh no, that's a headshot, but the flower's in the way. Damn it. That one might be salvageable. We'll take a look at it. Ooh, way too dark. Way too dark. Way too dark. All right. Too many things in the way. Ooh, this one might be worth something. Okay. Caught it in mid flight. And it's fairly decent. Ooh, I'm kind of liking this one. All right. Not the greatest composition. Let's see what we can do with it. Who knows?
It throws pollen on it, so that helps.
Yeah, it does, huh? Butt shot. A little too soft. Okay. All right. But actually, this is a good example. All right. My camera is a full frame camera. All right. So that means from here to here is 2 1/3 inches. Okay. 2 1/3 inches. Okay. That B is roughly, what would you say? I would say about an inch, right? Roughly, I would say about an inch. Okay. This is not a macro shot. This is not a macro shot. This is a close-up shot. Okay. All right. Nah. Interesting, but again, butt shot, butt shot, butt shot, no shot. Yeah, not the best shot. Butt shot. Ooh. A little soft. A little soft. It's soft where it shouldn't be. Yeah. Ooh. Too soft and compositionally terrible. Again, head deep into the middle of the flower. I guess if you're looking to tell a story about pollinating bees, this may work, but as a pretty, what you would call a pretty wall hanger, doesn't do anything for me. Nothing. Oh, there might be something here. Who knows? That's not bad. Sharp. Compositionally, is it a strong composition? Eh. And that's it. That's the last one. All right. So I didn't take a lot. I didn't spend a lot of time out there. All right. Which is the other thing that you have to understand about this type of photography. If you're going to photograph insects, all right, as Alan mentioned, they move fast. They're busy. They're working. All right. If you've ever, gone up to somebody who's working, if you ever try to start a conversation with your friend and your friend is working and you're just, lazing about, they're going to get pissed off at you. They're not going to give you the attention. They're busy working. All right. They're going to ignore you. And then it's your job to try to catch up and keep up with the person who's working. It's the same thing with bees. They're not going to care about you. They're going to keep doing their thing, and they move faster than your friend. Okay? So, what is the solution? Obviously, the solution is more frames. Alan can probably attest to this. Okay? Alan has a lot of patience when it comes to photographing birds. You just don't walk around, take 6 frames, and get an awesome shot. That's not how it works. You have to put your time in. You have to have patience. You have to burn through frames. You have to go home disappointed that you didn't get anything. All right. And then you try it again the next time. All right. But, I don't know how it is for you guys, but for me, there's a certain zen. There's a certain relaxation that happens when I go out photographing things. Okay. It's not so much a little bit of a double standard. It's not so much the end results, it's the journey. All right. For me, I love the journey. Okay. Of course, it would be nice, since I'm putting all that effort into the journey, to have something that I can show for my time and effort. That would be nice. Okay. It doesn't always work. Okay. All right. So let's see. I probably should have marked those. Where's that flying one? The flying one. Wasn't that one? Shoot. Was it this one? Nope. Oh, this was one that I saw, and it was the one prior to that. Let's see. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Okay. I don't think we can do anything with this one. All right. I really don't. Okay. All right. Oh, it would be nice if I shared my screen. There you go. All right. So we have this one here. Okay. Compositionally, it's not the greatest. Okay. But let's see what we can do. The first thing I want to do is knock down that green. Let's go to our color mixer, grab our green. All right, the luminance, and let's bring it and darken it up. Okay. The aqua's not going to do anything. All right, the orange and the yellow, brighten it up a little bit. There we go. All right. Pink is fairly bright. Now, let's try a subject. Probably not going to do anything. Yeah, see, it's going to have a hard time finding the subject. So let's get rid of that. Okay. And I'm just going to do a, where's my mask? A radial gradient. And let's bring up the blacks. No, let's bring up the shadows. Okay. Let's bring up the texture and clarity, because I want to increase the sharpness on that. Okay. And have everything else behind it a little less sharp. Okay. And everything behind it. All right. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to create another mask. All right. So here's the problem. We have a subject that has both dark parts and light parts. And they are both against a dark. And what I want to do is I want to take that dark field behind the bee and I want to drop that down, make it even darker. Okay. So one of the first things I did is we went to the color mixer, right? I got my green slider. Here it is with luminosity. All right. And we just, all I did is I just brought it all the way down. Okay. Maxed it out, can't go darker than that, but I do want to bring it darker. So we're going to go to a mask. We're going to create a mask based on a luminance range. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to target all these darker colors, these darker tones. Okay. And let's bring that down. Oh, that front leaf, it's not going to do it, but I'm avoiding pretty much a lot of that flower. Okay. If I get some of those leaves, not a big deal. I think we can probably paint those out. Okay. All right. But it's also, if you notice, it's also grabbing a lot of the dark parts of the bee. That's okay, because what we can do is we can subtract. All right. I'm going to subtract a brush. All right. And I'm just going to subtract that bee right there. And maybe a little bit of the wings. I'm going to see if I can kind of finagle it. Okay. All right. And then I'm going to go ahead and using the controls. Oh, what's it doing? There we go. We're going to bring our shadows down. All right. Maybe bring our exposure down. All right. Oh, we're going to need to add to that mask. I want to add all these leaves. Okay. Let's see. Let's make this a little bit bigger. Oh, where is it? Add brush. There we go. All right, and because I made an adjustment, I'm able to see what my mask is doing as I paint. Okay. Now I'm going to be very careful around a flower. All right, and if I want to, I can. I have the auto mask on. Okay, and that's going to give me a little bit of control and avoid grabbing that spilling out onto the flower. Okay. But if you're not careful, you can very easily cross that threshold. Okay. And avoiding the butterfly. All right. But if you notice, okay, we're leaving all these specks behind. All right. Because I have auto mask on, okay? Auto mask looks for edges, edge contrasts, okay? And it looks for contiguous areas that match what it is that you're brushing. So I'm brushing this green of the leaf, and the green of the leaf has these light little speckles. So it says, oh, those speckles don't match what he's been painting out, so I'm not going to paint those. Okay. So auto mask isn't 100%, but it gets you there. All right. So I just take the auto mask off, and I can go ahead, and if I make a mistake.
What do you take out there, Duck? Is that pollen that you're erasing?
No, these are specular highlights on the leaf.
Okay.
All right. And it's a little distracting right now. So I don't want it competing with the bee. I want that background behind the bee to be fairly dark. Okay. So I'm just gonna go ahead and underside here. All right. And actually, if I could, I would probably want to go really, really dark to the point where, that leaf isn't there. All right. All right, this is a tight spot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come into this area of the flower that I don't want. And I'm just going to get my eraser and just kind of, all right, see how I get that nice little cusp there? Okay. Everybody see that right there? Okay. Here, I'll do it again. All right. All right. That's what it looks like. Let's go in. All right. So I have a brush. All right. I'm not going to be able to get really, really, really tight into that corner. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my brush. All right. As I'm painting in, I'm going to. That's probably as close as I can get without crossing over on top of the flower. So how do we handle that? Okay. We go up to where we can, and I'm going to pick one of these two sides. Okay. The side that I pick is going to be the one that has the longest uninterrupted edge. All right. So notice how the edge of the flower goes all the way across. That edge from this pistil just kind of comes down and terminates. All right. So I'm going to follow the longer of the two edges. All right. And I'm going to go right into that corner. Okay. Now, what I've done is I've painted over part of the flower that I don't want. Okay. Because I just want the corner. So I'm going to paint over into that flower area. I'm going to now go to the eraser tool. Okay. All right. And the Alt key. All right. Mac people, it might be the Option key. Okay. And it changes from the plus to the minus. And now all I got to do is erase along that shorter edge. All right. Because I know it's going to terminate right there at that intersection between the long line and the short line. All right. And now I have my cusp. All right. Everybody understand that? Here's another one that we can do. Okay. There's my long edge here. My short edge is this one. Okay. I'm going to paint in up to the point where I can no longer do it with the size of this brush. Here, we're going to get up here. Okay. I'm going to follow that long edge. Follow that long edge. Okay. And I know that short edge is going to terminate at that long edge. So I switch to my negative and I just, all right, if I went a little bit too far, okay, misjudged it, we're going to just bring it in. There we go. And we have our cusp. Okay. Any questions about how to do cusps, with your masks? Okay. Fairly simple. Might take a little bit of practice to get it done. All right.
I think that was brilliant.
I'm sorry?
I haven't seen that before. That's brilliant.
Oh, yeah. Let me tell you, that is a big time saver when it comes to creating masks. All right. So let's see. All right. I don't think I have. There we go. All right. So now we have. Oh, and we got some down here. I'm not gonna go too crazy. Got some right here. All right. But now I can. If we look, my exposure on that mask is down 4 stops. My shadows is down 100. Okay. I can try you know, with the other sliders, the highlights gets me a little bit. I can try with the whites, gets me a little bit, but I'm not getting pure 100% black. I'm maxed out on the sliders. Okay. Oh, I didn't do my black point. There we go. There we go. Now we got it. Okay. I was going to say, if you can't do that, then you can go to your curves adjustment. Okay. Let's see. Can we clean up this edge here a little bit? There we go. All right. So now our B stands out a little bit more. Okay. So we have mask 1 is our B. All right, let's call that B. And oh, my cap locks were on B. And mask 2 is my background. Okay. So now I can go back to my B and I can see if I can pull up any of that, the shadow area. Let's bring up some of the highlight. There we go. Now, as I mentioned, this is not the greatest of images. Okay, compositionally. Okay, compositionally, this image sucks. Okay, but it allows me to experiment. It allows me to play around with capturing. It allows me to play around with editing. Okay, now I could say, let's oops, wrong button. Let's open it up in Photoshop. And in Photoshop, I can probably create a new layer, right? Control J. We'll take this and maybe move it there. All right, create a mask. All right. I've shared this trick before in the past as well. All right. What I want to do is I want to remove the flower from this top, the top layer. Okay, this top layer. All right. I want to keep the B. I want to remove everything else. So with a regular mask, I'm going to go ahead and get a soft round brush. Let's make it a little bit bigger. Okay. Black as my foreground color because I'm on a white mask. Black is foreground color. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to paint over this B. Now the reason I'm doing it is because as I paint, I can see it disappear. All right. So I know exactly where to paint. I have my edges. All right. I have my edges that I can follow as I paint. All right. But I don't want to remove the B. I want to remove everything but the B. So what we do now, we have our mask. We've inverted. All right. Control I, or you can just hit the invert. Okay. And we can go in here. And of course, we're going to have to clean up our mask a little bit. Okay. I still have black loaded. I can come in and I can clean up that mask in the areas here that we missed. There we go. Blah, 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 blah. All right. Control 0. And then now, all right, I'm going to hide that layer. We're going to go back to original layer. Okay. And we can get rid of that B in any way we want. Okay. We have a black background, so I can just take a blank layer, grab a black brush. Okay. Let's make it a little bit larger, and go ahead and just erase the hell out of this one. I'm going to go in here, size it down. All right, and then all I got to do is just worry about that little thing right there. We'll go with the healing brush. Ta-da! And Control 0. B is gone. We bring back that layer and we have our B on its own layer. And we can say, okay, where do we want to put the B? Okay, I'm going to put the B right there. And let's do one more thing. C for crop. I want to keep the crop. All right, we're going to go up here, our crop ratio, or if it's not there, where's my my conceptual taskbar? Window conceptual taskbar. Why am I not seeing my taskbar? I'm not seeing my taskbar because it's somewhere. I have no idea. All right. Anyway, crop. Oh, there it is. It popped back up. There it is. We're gonna go with we'll go 16:9. You know, that's a nice crop ratio for a screen. Maybe we'll turn it into a wallpaper. You know, maybe whatever. All right. Or you can do square if you want to share it on Instagram or whatever. All right, let's do something like that. I'm going to make sure that delete cropped pixels is unchecked, because if I want to try a different crop, I want to make sure that I'm not deleting any of my image. Okay? And there we go. Took a crappy photo and made it less crappy. Not bad. Not bad. All right. There's a lesson to be learned here. Okay? There is a lesson to be learned. Okay? Exercises like this allows you to explore. It allows you to explore composition. It allows you to explore editing techniques. It allows you to explore capture techniques out in the field. Okay? So I highly, highly, highly recommend just get out, experiment, push yourself to try something that you normally wouldn't do, and have fun with it. That's all. Have fun with it. All right. Where's that? Let's go back to Lightroom. Oh, let's save this. First of all, we'll save that. And where is that other one? That attribute picked. There it is, that one. Let's see what we can do with that one. Oh, okay. This one here, you know what? I think I'm going to try a crop right away. Let's do a 1-to-1. Let's do a square crop. All right, and I'm gonna put it just a little bit. Oops, I don't want that. Let's crop in a little bit. And you know what? Maybe let's try angling it just a touch. Why not? There we go. Yeah. Okay. I'm not liking that yellow up there. Probably should have done it in Lightroom, but hey, you know, we're here. Okay, let's do a selection. I just grabbed the magic wand. I'm being lazy about this, and I'm just clicking. Let's go to 20. All right, there we go. Click, 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 click. There we go. All right, and oh, create a mask. Do I want to create? Yeah, we'll create a mask. Okay. Uh, it's the wrong kind of mask. So what do we got to do? We got to invert it. All right. Control Command I to invert your mask. Make sure you have your mask selected. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and let's drop a solid color adjustment layer. All right. Solid color adjustment layer. We'll keep it black. No, actually, you know what? Let's do a very deep dark green. All right, let's keep that green. Drop it down below. Okay. And then we just got to clean up our mask just a little bit because we got some residual leftover stuff. So, soft round brush. Oh, make sure that you are on your mask. Black is our foreground color. There we go. Let's get rid of this whole thing in the corner. All right. That whole thing there. All right. I'm going to go up fairly close, and then with my zoom tool, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in. All right. Make my brush smaller. That way I can come in fairly close to my border here. All right. And you can see, let me zoom in a little bit more. I want you to see how kind of like jagged that edge is. We're going to fix that in a little bit. All right. So we're going to zoom out. Let's see. We're going to zoom in over here. Brush. Clean that up. Clean that up. All right. Switch over to a hard edge brush. I think my soft edge is a little bit too, oops, too much. X to switch to a white brush. There we go. There we go. That looks good. Okay. That looks so much better. All right. To get rid of those stair steps, all right, we're just going to double click on our mask. Double click. It's going to bring up the, come on, there it is. Our masking tool, our mask dialog. Okay. And here we're going to, well, first of all, let's zoom in here. Okay. The first tool is the smooth. All right. What that does is it tends to kind of smooth things out over major bumps, right? So you don't want to overdo it too much. Okay. See how it made that so much more a smoother edge, right? Okay. Why did it switch? Oh, that's because I switched it. Let's go back to our black and white. Okay. Then we have the next one is feather. Feather is how soft. Let's make that really, really soft. Give it a second. Oh, that's way too soft. Okay. Usually for a mask, you don't want to go above 6 pixels. All right. It gives you this really, really, really soft edge. But sometimes you want that soft edge because it gets rid of a lot of imperfections. All right. So in this case, we're going to use the feather to also help smooth out some of that edge. Okay. But we don't want a soft edge. We want a definitive hard edge. Okay. And that's where the contrast comes into play. Okay. Contrast. So we have, let me switch over. Can I switch over to the pen? Yeah. We have black on this side, right? And we have white on this side. You can't get more contrast than black and white. But in the center here, we have a transition. All right. We have light gray, middle gray, dark gray before we get into black. Okay. What that contrast does is it starts increasing the contrast in those lighter tones. So what happens is as we start increasing our contrast, we're going to see that soft edge become tighter and tighter. Okay. Now, as a rule of thumb, I usually keep it under 50%, because if you look at what 50% is doing, we're literally back at our original start. Now the big bumps are a lot smoother, but we're starting to get that stair stepping on the micro level. Okay. And of course, if we push it up to 100%, we're just going to get this jagged edge that looks gross. All right. So as a rule of thumb, I normally keep it under that 50% threshold. Okay. All right. And then the shift edge, I use this sparingly. Sometimes when we have a big contrast between the original background and the background we are replacing it with. So, for example, I'm putting in a dark background, but we started with a dark background. But imagine if we're putting in a dark background, but we started with a light background. We're going to get a halo. All right, where some of that light background bleeds through. What the shift edge does is it'll take this edge and it'll move it. It'll shift it either outwards or inwards. Okay. And oftentimes you just need a slight, small little shift. Okay. Now, for our intents and purposes, I don't think we need to shift. So I'm not going to do anything with the shift, and I'm just going to go ahead and hit OK. Oh, before I hit OK, we can also do different kinds of views. All right. So the marching ants. All right. Actually, you can see that little bit of a halo. Let's do this. All right. And then if we bring our halo to the negative side, see how it's shifting it in? And we're getting rid of that halo. Okay. There we go. And we're going to say, okay. There we go. Zoom out. Perfect. Okay. So, before, after. That's all. Okay. All right. Last thing I want to do, I'm going to just give it a little bit of a vignette, and we'll call this one done. simply because it's a crappy photo. I will be the first one to tell you it's a crappy photo. All right. For this, we're going to create a curves adjustment. You guys know I love, love, love my curves adjustments. We're going to bring our curve down. All right. Grab a nice big soft round brush. Black as our foreground color. Oops. Make sure you're on your mask. Black is our foreground color. I'm going to make this nice and large. Okay. And I'm just going to tap, tap, tap. And that's it. That's all I need. That's all I need. All right. Before, after, before, and after. Now, the reason I like vignettes like this is because I can adjust, the level of darkness I want in my corners. Okay. I can adjust whether I want to attack just the light tones, whether I want to attack just the dark tones. All right, nope, make them right. So this kind of looks a little crunchy and contrasty. All right, or if we want to just bring it down with our midtones and preserve our black and white point. Okay. All right. Any questions about what we covered? All right. Hopefully it's a little bit different than what you're used to. Hopefully you got some good tips out of it, even though I had crappy photos. Don't judge me by my crappy photos. I have plenty of bug photos that can prove that I can do a better job.
That's pretty good, Doug. Pretty good.
So, anyway, tis the season for bugs. The nice thing is you don't have to go far. They're in your backyard. All right. If you want, get yourself a little picnic blanket, throw it down onto the lawn, lay down, get up and close and personal with those big puffy dandelions, right? And take some dandelion shots. All right. Once you're down there, you're gonna want to stay down there for a while. I know. Me and my needs, definitely. All right. Any questions about anything we covered? Pretty straightforward. All right. Hopefully, we got you motivated to do a little bit of backyard photography. Bob, I want to see some backyard photography from you. Mark, show us what the bugs look like in Ohio.
Ohio bugs.
Ohio bugs. So, anyway, that's it. That's all I got for you guys. So,
Thanks, Doug.
all righty, guys.
Learned a lot tonight.
Awesome. We'll see you next week. Stay safe. Stay grounded.
Thank you for watching Learning Photography with Duck. Brought to you in association with Milford Photo, your local full-service camera store. Located in downtown Milford, Connecticut, Milford Photo offers you a personalized shopping experience. From the latest camera gear to printing and framing services. And, of course, educational workshops to teach you the finer aspects of photography. Don't forget to tell them Duck sent you.